For South by Southwest Day 3, I had the opportunity to go to the KPMG exhibit, and it specifically was around AI and having a conversational booth with an AI chatbot. Now, I fell into this on accident. I was leaving a session that didn't necessarily interest me and walked out of the room, and I saw the KPMG booth sitting there with a microphone and headphones. Now, I have been looking at wanting to start my own podcast, so this immediately caught my attention, and the KPMG instructors walked me through on what I would be doing. So first, I pulled up and they had me scan a QR code, and I had to fill out a little bit of a questionnaire about myself. So my name, some of my interests, my current title. So I'm a student in graduate school at the University of Denver, getting my master's in business management. So that is what I wrote. And then I also included some personal facts. So I included that I really like the outdoors of Colorado, whether I'm skiing, paddleboarding, spending time with my bulldog named Pork Chop, or teaching yoga. So a couple of personal attributes and then a couple of professional attributes. So after I filled that out, they sent me into the booth and gave me instructions on how to put on the headphones and that I will press the button when I'm ready to speak. And it also has the words on the screen. So in case you weren't able to hear or needed the question reiterated, it's right in front of you. So I was originally not going to the exhibit, as I said, but I did run into it with great enthusiasm, and I'm so glad that I decided to test it out. It was honestly a really cool conversation to have, and I thought that the questions would be a lot easier than they were. I felt stumped on many of them. The chatbot asked me about school and the process of how AI is incorporated both in education and the professional world. I shared my opinion that I think flowed accordingly with how AI is getting incorporated in this sense. And my huge takeaway, like I said, is that the questions that she asked me were hard. I almost did not feel prepared for the activity in this sense. And the booth was challenging, but in the sense that it made my mind stretch to critically think, because I'd say, oh yeah, there has to be a balance, between AI and realism. And then it would ask me, well, do you have specific examples or implications where you can put this? So definitely stretching my knowledge in that regard. A really interesting component to point out is that when I would talk, I talked to the chatbot as if it was a friend, using slang, not necessarily slowing down just as I would normally talk. And AI picked this up and used more upscale synonyms to the terminology that I was using. So for example, I was saying how we have a AI chatbot when I worked in property management who would answer the phones, and huge benefit of that is that it could field phone calls for us and track this data, and we could code AI to be smart and have that customer service directive being over the phone. The biggest and most negative part of having that chatbot incorporated in property management is that we had a call center of over 200 plus people that were laid off because now of the technological advancement. So showing this balance. And I said the words laid off, and AI corrected it to unemployment and then used that throughout the duration of the conversation. And there were a couple other instances like that where I was using just lower scale terms, and the AI picked it up instead of repeating it to me, just used more upscale synonyms. And I told KPMG that when I left, and they said, oh, you're one of the first people to realize that. And I gave them a couple more examples. I just don't remember them off the top of my head at this moment. This is not a groundbreaking standout, and I understand that, but I thought it was really interesting that the chatbot was able to decipher and understand the different terms in this sense more so. KPMG is driving innovation in this sense. I think it's something that we're going to see more and more of. They are one of the the biggest people critically thinking about AI and also having it ask the tough questions so that the chatbot can take that information, reevaluate, and then come back stronger. The exhibit was beyond impressive. The response time from the booth was almost seamless. I didn't even have a chance to gather my thoughts before it was direct firing at me during our conversation. I was a bit wary. I didn't quite know what to expect. And like I said, I undermined my I undermined what it could actually do. I think getting consumers familiar and not scared of AI though is huge. As I said, I walked in and I was a little bit wary. Similarly, I think we have to break out of that a little bit instead of just being AI is ruining everything. looking more toward how we can use AI as an advantage rather than constantly questioning and running scared, like learning to take it piece by piece and having it challenge your mind as mine was done today. And based on KPMG's perspective, they are asking the right questions. They are using diverse opinions to form and code these chatbots, and they're bridging the gap between AI being an idea and AI being implemented and executed. So that was my biggest takeaway in this sense. And I was the first person like of the day when I walked in. I was just waiting for the Mark Cuban seminar when I saw the booth, as I said. And when I came out of the booth, there was a line down the exhibit hall. So I must have just timed it absolutely perfect. But I think people want to be educated on this subject, and they are trying to gain as much knowledge as they possibly can about the industry and the products and services that are offered, like I said, to make that AI instead of idea into AI execution. So I really enjoyed this little exhibit as well.